Good morning everyone. I am Dr. Parmesha, Department of Botany, St. Joseph's University, Bengaluru.
Welcome to the Botany Open Elective course Gardening and Landscaping Technology.
So the first picture what you told is a aquarium. The second picture is a terrarium. Okay, the name is terrarium. Again, terrarium is very popular nowadays, and uh, it's gradually getting up. Okay, so the terrarium business. So if you really learn things, you can start small business. Yeah, by seeing this only you can make out aqua is water, terra is actually land. Okay, aquarium, aqua, okay, the water habitat. Okay, the water habitat. If you grow some fishes, it's called aquarium. Okay, terrarium, that's a terrestrial habitat. Terrestrial is land habitat. If you prepare the land type habitat, okay, the terrestrial habitat, so in a glass jar, it's called terrarium. Okay, aqua is water, terra is a terrestrial. Terrestrial is like a land. Okay, so today we're going to talk about terrarium. Again, examination point of view also, it's very important. So first of all, what is terrarium? So terrarium is a living plant growing inside a sealed or open glass container. Okay, so you are growing plant inside, okay, inside a glass container, it's called terrarium. Okay, so terrarium is a more or less like an aquarium. Instead of fish, so we are growing plants. Okay, so instead of fish we're growing plants. Okay, overall what we consider, terrariums are often miniature landscape under glass in the form of woodland, desert, tropical jungle, or your own collection of plants. So that means always it should not be what I showed the first picture. It should not be like this only. Okay, it's up to you. Okay, so you can decide what plant can be grown. Okay, so you see here. Okay, so some tropical jungle. Okay, plants from tropical region were growing here. Okay, this is a kind of desert. Okay, so sand and whatever plants which are suitable for desert. Okay, some xerophyte plants, we can grow those xerophyte plants. Okay, they survive very well. And see here, so here also, so some woodland jungle type in between, you can see some nice structures. Okay, so nice structures they made, some construction, some pillars, some statue. Okay, so sometimes people used to do some waterfall type. Okay, so some table, chair, miniature. Okay, so mini statues they are going to keep. Okay, Buddha statue, etc. And yeah, so not only just aquarium bowl, even if you have any glass jar. Okay, so any transparent thing, you can do that. You can create a habitat. Okay, so that's why it's called a miniature landscape under glass. Okay, whatever we see outside. Okay, so if you go to normal tropical jungle, you can see various types of plant. If you go to desert, okay, the desert biodiversity, you're going to see some plants. Okay, if you go to woodland jungle, you're going to see some plants. Okay, so what we have seen outside exactly replicated inside a glass jar. Okay, inside a glass jar. So, okay, so why it's so important? Because whatever is not actually suitable outside, okay, so those things will be growing inside. And apart from it, they give beauty. Okay, beauty and the aesthetic structure. Okay, so that's why terrariums are very important, becoming very popular. So not only in India, all across the world, it's very popular. Of course, it started from England. Okay, so London. Okay, historically, so who started this terrarium things? Okay, historically, the terrarium was invented by Sir Nathaniel Ward. Okay, a London doctor in 1827. Okay, so he invented the terrarium. Okay, so the first terrarium, see here, so it was the, so representation. Okay, so diagrammatic representation, so it was like this. Okay, later actually with various designs and various other structures came, and also whatever is useful. Okay, so wherever the plants will survive, okay, those structures uh, utilized to develop this terrarium. I mean, of course, why did he invent those? Okay, at that time, okay, in 1800, some of the outdoor plants would not live in the polluted air. Okay, in the London. Okay, so they were dying because of polluted air. Okay, he thought, okay, why can't we grow them? Okay, so in a miniature greenhouse. Okay, so miniature greenhouse, so that means you might have heard greenhouse, we already discussed in one of the classes. So greenhouses, glass houses. Okay, so they exactly. Okay, so the greenhouse structure is actually maintaining even in a, so normal terrarium or glass. Okay, so the moisture, okay, recycling of water, temperature, everything is actually mini ecosystem will be created inside. So that's why he thought, so let's grow this plant inside a glass jar. Okay, so there we can avoid air pollution. Okay, apart from that, all other things required. Okay, temperature, the room temperature, the light. Okay, other nutrients. Okay, soil factors, everything we can provide. Okay, they will grow. So then you're successful, okay, by growing those plants. The plants, so whatever were actually dying because of polluted water, so those are all started surviving inside the glass house, that greenhouse or that miniature glass jar. Okay, so he named that time fern cases, but gradually horticulturist. Okay, so we were actually uh, transferring these plants, okay, from different regions. Okay, so that before that, so they never use these glass jars. Okay, just like that they were sending and bringing during that time because of changing in climatic condition. Okay, so and additionally salt air and other temperature. Okay, especially sea voyage. Okay, so that time, so they used to go by, okay, ships only. Okay, you know that very well. So it's a long journey. So from one country to other country, when they are bringing different types of plants, they used to die. Okay, so because of all this salt, air, and other changing climatic condition like light temperature. So to overcome that is invention. Okay, so Ward's invention, Nathaniel Ward's invention actually helped them. Okay, so after that they had named. Okay, so those glass jar into like the cases into Wardian cases. Okay, so the Nathaniel Ward named them as a fern cases. They used to grow fern plants like one of the group in the plant. But later, any plant so can be grown inside. That's why they named as a so Wardian cases. Okay, Wardian cases. So plants are well protected from salt, air, and any changing climatic condition. Okay, so historically, so this is how actually the terrarium came into picture. So how does terrarium works? Okay, how does terrarium works? So terrarium is a closed environment and can actually be used to illustrate how an ecosystem works. Okay, so that's what is happening outside. Okay, exactly. So those things will be happening even inside a glass jar. Okay, so if you take any um, climatic factors, edaphic factors, okay, light, temperature, water recycle, gaseous exchange, everything whatever is happening, okay, room temperature, okay, happening outside exactly will be created inside a glass bowl. Okay, that's a mini ecosystem. Okay, that's how so it's working. So it's a natural process. Okay, it's not any induced process, it's a natural process. The only thing is we will going to plant them. Okay, it's an artificial ecosystem we will going to create, and process is natural, but we are creating artificial ecosystem. We are providing nutrients. Okay, apart from that, photosynthesis, respiration, water cycle, everything is actually common there. The water in the terrarium is constantly recycled, passing from liquid form to gas and back to again to the terrarium because of the glass jar. Okay, so glass jar is a layer is actually so condensed in that, and like it will come back. As the moisture in the air condenses on the glass wall, it returns to the soil and absorbed by the plant's roots. Okay, so this is how, okay, even water cycle is happening, photosynthesis is happening, and respiration is happening. Okay, so this is a simple principle is actually adopted. Whatever is happening outside world, okay, like outside environment at a global scale, is exactly happening even in a glass jar. Okay, so based on this principle, actually terrarium are becoming very popular and they are working. So people used to start just so they were growing few plants in the bowl. Okay, so but after that they started so doing different things using this terrariums. Okay, so maybe one or two layers were there in the long, okay, in the when they started. Okay, but gradually, so it's become very popular. Okay, so they invented many things. The terrarium is actually uh, contains 7 layers. Okay, the lowermost is activated charcoal inside a bowl or inside a glass jar. Okay, or even used bulb. Okay, so after burning, okay, so the bulb will be rather than throwing, okay, you can convert them into terrarium. Okay, so activated charcoal, one first layer, small, okay, so gravel, okay, second layer, moss, third layer, potting soil, fourth layer, okay, top dressing, okay, fifth layer, decorative items sixth layer, okay, and plants are seventh layer. Okay, so more or less, so till potting soil, so similar, but dressing and decorative, especially plants part, playing a major role here. So that means, so for I showed you the previous picture. Okay, for desert type, you can use different plants. For tropical plants, you can use different plants. For woodland, you're going to use different plants. Okay, so but the remaining layers more or less similar, okay, in many of the plants. Okay, so please learn this even examination point of view also. So this is very important. Okay, 7 layers are there, right from charcoal to plants. Okay, plants which were used in the terrarium, they classified into many, of which cacti terrarium, fern terrarium, moss terrarium, and succulent terrariums. Okay, if they are only using cacti, they are called cactus plants, cacti terrarium. Only ferns terrarium, moss terrarium, succulents. You know succulent plants and mosses. Next, ferns, another group. Okay, so pteridophytes and ferns, and cactus. You know, many of you like already have seen or growing some one or the other cactus. If you use different cactus, okay, so then that will call as a cacti terrarium. Okay, so why they go for like cactus terrarium? Because they allow dry surroundings. Okay, so I mean, no need to take care much. Suppose if you go to fern terrariums, okay, we are using only fern species, another group of plants. So they moist loving plants. Okay, we have to take care. So we need to keep it in a good lighting place. If it is too much light or sunny, we have to shift. Okay, and if you have to take care of water, and they're shade loving plants and moisture loving plants. Okay, but if you go to cacti terrarium, no need to take so much. Okay, once you plant, if you arrange things, okay, then no need to touch, so it will survive for a long time, only here and there. So you have to give water, and if it is excess growth, you can trim that. Okay, so that's why, so cacti terrarium, many people will prefer cacti terrarium. So then moss terrarium. So moss, again I told you, this is another group. Okay, more, and because it will give very aesthetic look. Okay, so various colors, and they'll quickly acclimatize the area. Okay, so we, if it is a shady place at home, we, if we are not getting proper lighting space, okay, then we can go for moss terrarium. And again succulent terrarium, so more or less like zero fights what we have seen, like in cactus. Okay, here you can use only succulents, or you can mix with the cactus, and you can develop succulent terrarium. Okay, so these are the four types. Okay, just to remember, but still so many other types are there. But so if you learn this much, so this is more or less uh, enough. Okay, but here only based on the habitat condition where we're going to keep, and what type of plants we're going to use, based on that they classified into different terrariums. So once we know what is terrarium, so then what we required for this, so already 7 layers I told you. So that including that, okay, so these are the accessories or supplies that need to make a terrarium. Tools, we need a stick, spoon, okay, for some work. Containers, clear glass vessels we require. Decorative items, small pebbles and some statues. Okay, and potting soil and white sand. So plants of various groups, shapes, and sizes. Okay, fern, cactum, or tropical forest, small plant, relatively some big plants. Okay, different size. Those we can choose to prepare this terrarium. Okay. Okay, if you come to the tools and accessories, okay, so you can see here in the picture. Yeah, of course, if you have a one or two is enough. Okay, so any one small stick, chopstick, or one, okay, forceps or one spoon, those three are enough. Okay, but still, if you have a more, okay, so for fine scale terrarium, so you need so many other tools. So we need long stick, either bamboo or rod, okay, or any long chopsticks required, because you have to press, you have to make a hole, you have to plant them after. So putting this gravel and other soil, okay. So because it starts from inside to outside, okay. So once you start flowering, then you start planting, so you can't disturb that. So by, and your hand will not also go inside, and apart from that, okay, so it will disturb. That's why you use many tools. Okay, so large kitchen spoon for placing soil and drainage material. Okay, so generally so any soil or any water, okay, so you should not forcefully pour the water, okay, so you should use large spoon, and if you put soil or if you put white sand, you use spoon. And water sprayers, okay, so like this you can use water sprayers, okay, so you should not pour the water, just you have to spray the water, okay. A stick with wire loop in the end will be helpful for lowering plants into large containers with small tops, okay. So suppose there are large containers, very small mouth, okay, openings, so there, so we have to so put plants in different places, okay. So for that, okay, the wire loop will be so better, okay. With that actually you can lower the plant, you can adjust any way you want, okay. So these are the tools we require, okay, and it's available, okay. Otherwise also you can make on your own, very simple. Yeah, so then containers, okay, we need containers. What type of containers we need, okay. Containers always should be clear glass or plastic, okay. So generally people will go for glass, okay. So like a fish ball, okay, fish ball, so people prefer that, so because they look beautiful and very clear, okay, we can see from outside. And we should avoid tinted or cloudy glasses, okay, we should not use tinted or cloudy glasses. First of all, the design what you made, it will not appear, and second, it reduces light, okay. And if it reduces light, it will affect photosynthesis, so then it interferes with the plant growth, okay. So the plant, in the long run, plant may die. So that's why, so don't use tinted or cloudy glasses, use clear glasses, okay. So clear glasses. So what are the suitable containers? You can use empty fish bowls, fish tanks, so brandy snifters, old glass jars, jugs, bottles, so any other containers, okay, especially designed for terrariums. But only thing is, it should be very clear glass without tinted or cloudy glasses, okay. So then only the plant will survive, because availability of light is more, okay. So yeah, so this is about container. And about tools, I told you in the previous slide. Yeah, so these are all suitable for your uh, terrarium. You can see here, selecting containers for terrarium. So if you use anything here, okay, if you get anything like this, so everything is suitable, but there should be very clear glasses, okay. With this you can um, prepare your terrarium, okay. So after glasses, the layers are very important, how to put layers, because so you should not put first potting soil, on that you should not put gravel, then moss, not like that. You should always follow the layer, okay. So especially the last two layers, the gravel and activated charcoal, okay, that should be very important. Sometimes you can change also, okay, but some people won't put activated charcoal. But if you put activated charcoal, that's actually so very good for your terrarium, because so this is a base layer, okay. You can see here charcoal and rocks, so this is a base layer, okay. And it helps with the so drainage and maintenance, okay. If the excess water, it will helps in drainage, okay. um, and maintenance. How it will maintain, it will absorb the chemical toxins and odors in the soil, water and air that can be built up inside your terrarium over time, okay. So which are damaging your plants, okay. So these plants, okay, sometimes we are using mosses, the different plants we are using. So if these plants okay, so if these plants so release some chemicals, toxins, odors, okay, so to the soil, water and air, okay, so that will actually, if it is there in the long run, that will damage our plants. So what happens, this charcoal will absorb this, okay, so it will absorb so these chemical toxins and odors, okay, and it will protect our plants, okay. So you can use also gravel instead of activated charcoal, okay. Sometimes you can use both charcoal and gravel, so okay, that is up to us, based on what type of plants we are using. If you are using like some tropical forest and we have to give more water, so then better charcoal and rocks, you can gravel you can use, okay. But if you go for a desert type, okay, so succulents are desert type plants, okay, so then so maybe even rocks or gravels are enough instead of charcoal, okay. But so preference will be given, so if you use charcoal, that would be better, okay. Then we should use a moss layer. Okay, see here, moss layer. After this, we have to go for a moss layer. So you know, many of you know, so what is mosses. So again, they are group of another plants. Okay, so they are all bryophytes. Okay, in bryophytes there are three categories. Okay, hepatica, anthoceratae, and mosses. Okay, mossae. So okay, these are all, so green plant, they love very shady places. And maybe sometimes if you go to some high elevation moist areas like Kodagu and other areas, on tree bark you might have seen the green color structure is covered. Okay, so those are all nothing but so bryophytes, and especially some mosses are there. Okay, uh, so this will give some good appearance. Okay, and apart from that, they separate the soil from the gravel. Okay, so the soil from the gravel, this is in between layer, and it's one of the stunning decorative layer, so it will give very beautiful color for the terrarium. Okay, and additionally it's a top dressing for more moisture loving plants like fern. Okay, so if you want to grow ferns, okay, if the mosses are there as a top dressing, the not only these mosses, but also the ferns will actually survive very well. Okay, so that's why so mosses are playing a major role. And suppose if you go for a arid plant like a cacti and succulent, so no need to use mosses. Okay, if you only go for shade loving plants, ferns, or wet tropical forest species, so then you can go for mosses. Okay, so the moss layer is also very important. And next one is a soil. Okay, soil layer. And of course I spoke about many types of soil in few classes back. Okay, so the peat moss, sphagnum moss, so perlite. Okay, so those things. Okay, you can use those. Okay, or else you can prepare your own soil, the cocoa peat, many things. So you can prepare your own soil. So, okay, mix one part of peat moss with one part of rich garden soil. Okay, so that is also, it's very suitable soil. Okay, you can grow them, because it should not be completely use garden soil. First of all, it will become very heavy. Okay, and root. Okay, so plant roots won't reach, so because if it's a garden soil. So that's why we have to use light soil with rich nutrient, and also it provides aeration and absorb moisture, and it should be light. Okay, so for that, like a peat moss, okay, sphagnum moss, peat moss, cocoa peat is actually suitable. So if you mix with the garden soil, and of course before that you should sterilize that soil. So because there are chances the pathogens are which are present in the soil, so they may actually kill plants. So that's why you should sterilize. Okay, so always it should be clean, well drained, sterilized, and high in organic matter, because it has to provide nutrients, NPK. Okay, so nitrogen, phosphorus, and uh, potassium. Okay, so you use soil. Okay, so I mean about soil, I gave lots of information in few classes back. Again, you go back that and you can remember and you can read that. Okay, otherwise also terrarium point of view, so this much is enough. Okay, so because for exam you have to mention few points. Okay, if you ask terrarium. So then plants. Okay, so then we have to go for plants. Various types already I told you. So there are no specific plants for this. I told you different types of terrariums. Okay, cacti terrarium, succulent terrarium, woodland terrarium, desert terrarium, tropical terrarium. Okay, so if you use those type of plants, so that will become that type of terrarium. So that's why there is no fixed species for this plant. Okay, so many plants are suitable for growing in different terrariums. Only thing we have to remember is small plants would be better. So because so they will grow. So if they grow very long, okay, very large, then it will actually disturb. Okay, so destroy the terrarium. Okay, so that's why I always prefer for small plants. If they are growing okay long, you can trim this. Okay, you can cut them back and you can keep it back. Okay, and always the suggestion is don't mix plants of widely different condition. Okay, so because some are cacti, some are mosses, some are ferns, some are desert. Okay, some are woodland, some are tropical. Okay, suppose if you mix all those, so if you cacti and succulents doesn't require more water, but mosses, fern, and other tropical plants require more water. Okay, So if you provide more water, this cactus will die. Okay, if you are not provide more water, cactus and succulents will survive, but other plants will die. Okay, so that's why always you go for so one group of plant only. If you really need, so maybe you can add one more group. Okay, so more or less in between those two groups, so xerophyte, hydrophyte. Okay, so those type, okay, mesophytes. So don't mix so too many groups of plants. Okay, then it will destroy, okay, your terrarium. Okay, so yeah, these are some of the plants. Okay, so generally people prefer for terrarium, and they are very short, beautiful, and slow growing. Okay, so these are all like African violet, air plant, aluminium plant, baby tears, begonia, Chinese evergreen, jade plant. Okay, Swedish ivy. Okay, so these are all some common some 8 plants. Okay, so I gave number, but this is not the final list. Okay, but still you can go for. Okay, so as your interest. Okay, suppose if you take a terrarium in the center, around you can see. Okay, so these are the so names. Okay, African violet first one, and Kalancho last time I told you, second one, uh, third one. So this is a aluminium plant, and this fourth one. Okay, fourth one is called baby tear, and fifth one is called begonia, the corner one. Okay, and sixth one is a Chinese evergreen, and seventh one is a jade plant. Okay, so this is a jade plant, and Swedish ivy. Okay, so this one is a Swedish ivy. Okay, so this is how. Okay, so these are some of the common plants they use inside the terrarium. Okay, apart from that, even indoor garden also they are very popular. Some are growing even outside, but so these will give so different contrasts. Okay, and they are slow growing and very small and easy to trim. Okay, so that's why so people will prefer these type of plants for their terrarium. Okay, as a plant layer. Okay, apart from that I told you you can go for a mosses, different types of mosses. Okay, so for that. Okay, so this is about plants. And additionally, okay, if you just grow plants, so it doesn't look so good. Even if you have seen, okay, hardscape and uh, softscape in a regular garden and landscaping, though you have a garden, but without these hardscapes. Okay, so the trails and sitting benches. Okay, some other things. Okay, like a feed, decorative items. Okay, so bird nest. So if you don't have those things, it doesn't look good aesthetically. They are not so beautiful. For that, we should use some of the decorative items. Okay, make the terrarium to come to life. Okay, so we can use so statuary, driftwoods, seashells, anything that makes you smile, express your personality. So that means you can see here some of the terrariums what they made. Okay, so by seeing this you can make out they made small, okay, sitting benches, small houses they kept inside. Okay, some mushroom they kept inside the terrarium, and even inside the terrarium they made some small streams and bridges and some falls, waterfalls. Okay, so see here. Okay, so this is how some walking trail so they made, some again some statues here. So this is how actually you can enhance, okay, the beauty of your terrarium with decorative items. Okay, so these are the structures, tools required for your terrarium. Okay, all the 7 layers. So please remember that. So you can use accordingly. Even it should go as per the uh, layer from top to bottom. So now you know so what is terrarium, or what we require. Okay, right from activated charcoal to moss to soil to decorative items to plants we know. Then what tools we required we know, what type of glass jars we required we know. Okay, so then if everything is ready, so what to wait, we can start how to make terrarium. Okay, how to make terrarium. So procedure, so please remember procedure. Okay, it's very easy. Okay, always take medium size so glass. Okay, some normal size um, your sorry, aquarium would be better. Okay, so if it looks very fancy you can use that. So very clean clear jar you can take. So fill the layer especially bottom with 1.5 inch of layer of small rocks to collect the water drainage. Okay, you can use charcoal also here. Okay, charcoal or rocks or charcoal. That's vice versa. You can use as per your requirement. After that, add a layer of potting soil. Okay, so the potting soil should be a little bit more because it's deep enough to the plant to be rooted. Okay, so the plant to be rooted. Okay, if the plants are really large from the container, okay, you can remove that. Okay, so you can remove those plants. So in between, okay, so what you have to do, so we should top up. Okay, so with the moss layer. Okay, so after potting layer you can do moss layer. Okay, so by using the spoon or a stick, I told you, you can make holes deep enough and you start planting. And always you plant like, so the distance between one plant other plant should be so minimum 1 inch. Okay, if it is too close it will be crowded. If it is too far, then it's looks very less plants. Okay, so that's why 1 inch. Okay, so one plant per inch would be the better. Okay, uh, so then plant rest of the area with the whatever you want. If it is a succulent, if it is a cactus, if it's a woodland, if it is a desert plant, if it's tropical forest. Okay, so those species you start, or else whatever I gave the list in the previous case, the 10 plants, you start so growing them. Okay, and always starts at the back of the container and work way forward. That means, so if you start from this side, okay, inside, and suppose if you should not put first this plant only. Okay, then you can't reach back side. Okay, so it will disturb this plant or it might pierce your hand. That's always starts with that other side. Okay, so from behind, some back side you start. Okay, gradually you plant them and come back to the front and then so remove your hand. Okay, so this is how you have to start. And later so you can use a white sand around the plant. Okay, it will give some aesthetic beauty also. And also so it will avoid, okay, so some of the straight erosion, okay, or disturbance of this uh, soil, and that soil will actually dirty this glass jar. Okay, so for that, if you use white sand, so that would be better. Okay, you can use some landscape design and you add additional pebbles, seashells, okay, or some statue. So those things, so based on your requirement, okay, you use that and make your terrarium beautiful. Okay, so these two pages are very important. Okay, so to describe how to make a terrarium. Okay, so after this, so maybe you done everything, but if you keep it in a wrong place, the terrarium won't survive. So for that, if it's a shade loving plants, if you kept, you can put it in a shade. If it is a sun loving plant, you can keep it in a so window side, especially where it will get sun. Okay, it will require sun. But majority of the cases, they will grow for a room temperature. Okay, so common room temperature and a medium light category. Okay, so sometimes even for the artificial light. Okay, so LED light is also more than enough for these plants to grow. Okay, especially inside the terrarium, because the environment, the micro environment, okay, the local environment already been created. So so that's why even if there is no external light, okay, so even the artificial light is also enough. So the temperature should be common room temperature. So here it is in a Fahrenheit. Okay, so 65 degree to 75 Fahrenheit would be better. Okay, that's normal room temperature for us, like a 25 to 30 degree Celsius. No? So those temperature would be enough. Okay, again I told you, so based on that, if it is a fern, so you should not keep it in a very high sunlight. Okay, and you should keep proper water. Okay, if it is a cactus, okay, like a desert type, so you can keep it in a sunlight, so it doesn't require water. Okay, maybe once in a week. Okay, so would be better. Okay, so you can always maintain light and temperature. So on the maybe few classes back itself we spoke about light and temperature. Okay, climatic factors when we discussed about gardening. Okay, so actually indoor gardening, outdoor gardening, but this is also so part of the gardening, but these are all miniature of gardening. Yeah, then so we have to water. Already I told you in the previous case, we should not pour water, we should not use any tap directly, or we should not pour with the so any container. Okay, so with any mug. So rather than we should use sprayer, because this miniature ecosystem and very sensitive plants, okay, no need to flood the water. So that's why we use always water sprayer based on the plant which you use. So you can provide water. Otherwise also the water cycle will be happening inside. Okay, so the water which you provide initially, so that will be there in the plants. They will absorb, again they will release. So it will go to the micro atmosphere. This will be collected on the glass jar. Okay, so then that will again come back condensed and come back to the gravel or zone. So a root zone, again the plants will use those water. The cycle will be happening. So that's why, so no need to give always water, so only whenever it's required. Okay, but if you observe, okay, if you keep on observing these things, once you become master, so then it's easy for you to identify, okay, at what time it required water. So some indicators will be there. Okay, so the less water or disease, anything. Okay, so this will tell. If you are not properly sterilize the medium, okay, some other things, there are chances so they may get disease. Okay, in that case you should identify the situation. So where, so that is actually a major part called again care for a terrarium. Okay, so though, so terrariums are low maintenance and long lasting, but still actually we have to take care here and there. Okay, so how, just to prevent them for overgrowing, because if it's too much growing it will affect the beauty and the competition will start. So the plants will start dying. So because more plants in a small land, that is called carrying capacity, because of very less carrying capacity plants will going to die. You have to maintain those, you have to trim or you have to remove. Okay, so how much that area will occupy, only those many plants you should keep, and if it is excess you can trim that, remove them. And sometimes, so if you see yellow and brown color leaves in the greenery structure, you can remove them. So this is a sign of disease or pest. Okay, so majority cases, okay, you can see uh, gnats and bugs. Okay, you can see the lower picture. So these bugs will be attack these plants and they will turn. Okay, so they'll absorb saps and it will become turn brown and green, yellow. Okay, in those cases you can remove them, otherwise the disease will spread to other plant also. Okay, you can remove them, you can trim them, or if you completely remove that plant, replace with another plant. Okay, so if it is a closed jar, you can remove the lid and keep it some time to go for fresh air. Okay, so otherwise if it is open, so no need to worry about that. Okay, this is how we have to take care of terrarium. Okay, so after all, so benefits of terrarium. Okay, so why we need to do, of course I told you, so outdoor garden is very good for us, it's enjoyable. But if you don't have a space outside, so then what we thought, we can go for indoor gardening. Okay, when we discussed about indoor gardening, we can bring those plants for our inside houses. Okay, wherever space available we can grow them. Okay, sometimes even if you want very close to us, and we should create one mini garden inside. Okay, so I mean inside our house we don't have so much space to create mini garden like a normal garden how we look outside. But for that there's one opportunity, is a mini garden. Okay, so that's a terrarium. Okay, so terrarium will help to grow plants so that would difficult to grow in dry air. Okay, whatever is difficult to grow outside, so they can easily grow inside because mini ecosystem is developed, and they don't, I mean required. Okay, so natural light like outside, so they so need just fluorescent led or light. Okay, that's artificial light is enough. After all, so we start, so this making terrarium or growing plants inside a glass jar. Okay, what it will happen, so psychologically it will, first it is a aesthetic, and it will make your work table lively. It's a sense of relaxation. More you keep, more fresh air you will going to get, and it's a great hobby. Okay, once you start terrarium, then only you will feel. Okay, so maybe you can start today itself or whenever you get free time, so this weekend, so maybe you can do terrarium, you can share a picture. Okay, with this I end my class. Okay, so I used the innumerable photographs from the website and some information. So because of these photographs only, I conveyed the message, what is terrarium, how to make terrarium, how many layers are there, what type of plants we can use, so what tools we can use. Okay, those things will be conveyed because of these photographs. So thank you. So I acknowledge them, and also thank you so much for your interaction, your patience, okay, and your cooperation during the class. Okay. So please read well, and please try to make at least one terrarium. So before this semester.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe the channel for more information. Thank you.